Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how are you today? There's something that I want to address, and this is something that has touched my heart and my soul, something that I never even knew existed. And as a community, I feel that maybe it's time we get together and maybe we can make a change. Okay. And I realize that Texas and a lot of other states are going through something dire right now. But maybe once the snow melts and things start to get back to some kind of normalcy, maybe, just maybe, we can get together and help this small town. And this small town in which I am referring to is called Sandbranch. And I found out about this small town just the other day. And when I found out about it, I literally did my research. And what I found was so disturbing. And I just could not believe what I was seeing, what I was reading, what I was watching in certain videos. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. How could this possibly go on? How could this possibly be? Sandbranch is a community just outside of Dallas, Texas, whose residents literally have to rely on donated bottled water. In the 142 years that Sandbranch has been a town, really, they do not have running water. The population once stood at about 500, but it dwindled to less than 100 at about like 2010, around there. Okay. Sandbranch right now is like unincorporated town. It's an area not serviced by a municipality. Water pipes were never installed, and there is not even like trash collection. Okay. The wells that are there are tainted, and now either they're rotting away or sparingly used for either like washing a car, or if they even dare to like take a shower. It's like a risk to even like take a shower because the water is contaminated. And I mean like dangerously contaminated. There was testing done in the 80s and 90s, and it was confirmed that there is bacterial contamination of the water. The residents, they seem to blame gravel mining that contaminated the water. But Dallas County officials are not so sure of the reasons behind the contamination, but they do believe that maybe, now this is just maybe, there was widespread keeping of hogs, which is now banned, that created rivers of waste that poisoned the water table. So that could very well be, but you don't, want to point fingers and say, oh, this is exactly what it is, when nobody really truly knows, right? Now, there is one church in Sandbranch, and these people are, from what I've seen, like, they are the heart of Sandbranch. They are the lifesavers of Sandbranch, okay? And it's called Mount Zion Baptist Church. They have a 325-gallon water tank right outside, and it's for donated water. And on Saturdays, they open up their food pantry and people donate, okay? They donate the water, they donate bottled water, they donate food. Like outside people, they donate food. And also, they set up like a triage, I guess you could say, where volunteer nurses come in and they do like blood pressure checks and things like that. So it's really nice that that even happens, you know. But it's very, very heartbreaking, and things like this need to be addressed, and somebody really needs to like shout from the mountaintops, hey, this is what's really going on, right? This church is also home to one of the only functional toilets in Sandbranch. I'm going to say that again. It's home to one of the only functional toilets in Sandbranch. Now, when you have residents, and from what I understand, there's just under 100 residents in Sandbranch, and the church has one of the only functioning toilets in a town. Something seriously needs to be done. Now, Sandbranch has never been financially viable enough, right? Like, I guess because it's not a tourist attraction. It's just not, one of those for Dallas to provide water. Okay. And Dallas officials have even said that Sandbranch is in a flood zone. So they've even posted a sign saying so. Yeah. But since the town of Sandbranch was started 142 years ago, never once has it ever even flooded. So it's kind of like, yeah. But how many times has Houston flooded out? How many times has other parts of Texas flooded out? But yet Sandbranch has never once flooded out in 142 years, but yet it's a flood zone. But what does living or not living in a flood zone even matter? So because they say that they're living in a flood zone, you're not going to provide running water? Is that what you're trying to get at? Now, a few of the homes that once stood in Sandbranch have now burnt down, but the fires could never be extinguished. Why? No running water, no fire hydrants, no nothing. And as I sit here and I talk about this, it upsets me because as preppers, we sit here and we plan and we strategize about, water preparation and rain catchment systems and this and that and this and that and plan and plan and plan. Can you imagine living in a town that has not ever had running water for 142 years? Do you take for granted every time you flush your toilet? Do you take for granted every time you brush your teeth? Do you take for granted every time you fill up your coffee pot? Do you take for granted every time you boil a pot of water when you're making pasta? Never again will I take for granted anything that has to do with water. About half of the town's homes have been torn down or left to ruin, either due to the intervention of FEMA or a Dallas County initiative where residents were offered, now, listen to this. They were offered a very small amount of money to leave. And when I say very small, we're not even talking like the amount, like, okay, like, well, you owe this much on your home, so here, go pay it off and like it. No, we're talking like maybe $500-600. Not even enough to go get a hotel room for a week. Now, only a handful of residents have a working well on their properties. But like I said, the groundwater is contaminated. It has been said by officials that it's too costly to bring running water to Sandbranch. The Texas Water Development Board approved $450,000 for the town's water and wastewater projects in August of 2020. But in order to fully fund Sandbranch's need of running water and the wastewater project, it would cost actually $6.5 million. So I ask you, where did they get $450,000 when they know it's going to cost $6.5? I need to know. What's going on up here where you think $450,000 is sufficient? Oh wait, that's right. Government. My bad. How stupid am I? So, like I said, living in a town without water means like no fire hydrants, no even firemen, no, do they even have a police department? I mean, nothing, right? No fire department, no nothing. It's not even run by a municipality, so they have like nothing. But also, every bordering town around them has running water. There's even a wastewater plant on its perimeter. But Sandbranch has had contaminated groundwater for 40 years. Many have argued that because the town sits so close to it's called Trinity Water Basin, that it's pointless to supply Sandbranch with running water. Because they got a river right there. So what's the point? What's the point? They could just go, stick their heads in the river. So what's the point? They could go take a bath in the river. I guess that's their way of thinking. Right? So because I live close to the beach, I shouldn't have running water, right? Anyway. So, what can we do as a community to help another community? Because obviously their voices are not being heard. They have tried to have their voices be heard, but it always falls on deaf ears. Many reporters and newspapers and things like that have gone into Sandbranch and brought attention to this. Nothing. So, what can we do? Is there anything that we can do to help? I don't know, like, if this is like, I don't want to say they're poor. I don't want to say it's middle class. I don't know. I don't know median incomes of each town or city or whatever the case may be. But even still, the groundwater is contaminated. Would Berkey's help? Probably not. So let's put ourselves in their shoes. What can be done to make life a little bit easier in Sandbranch? Their voices have to be heard somehow. So maybe if our voices are heard on this subject, because obviously less than 100 people that say something, the residents of this town, they're just, but maybe if the prepper community stands up and says, hey, come on, maybe then sometimes, because we're louder than, you know what I mean? Maybe they'll listen to us. I don't know. I'd like to get a hold of that church. Maybe we can donate or something. All right. So if anybody knows of anyone who lives close to that area, if you can find out more information for me, maybe we can get a collection going and send some like gift cards or, whatever, so they can get more food and more bottled water, at least to help them out a little bit more. Okay. All right, guys, that's all for this video. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay warm, stay positive, keep prepping. And as always, fearless.